I welcome you in this lecture. Myself, Mr. V.D. Jadhav, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry, KTHM College, Nasik 2. Student, in the last lecture, we are seeing ion chromatography and ion exchange chromatography. This last lecture, we finished the chapter HPLC method. In HPLC methods, we are seeing different HPLC methods, that is adsorption chromatography, reverse phase chromatography, chromatography with chemically bonded phase, ion exchange chromatography, ion pair chromatography, ion chromatography, size exclusion chromatography, affinity chromatography, etc. In today's lecture, we will start third chapter, that is analytical HPLC. Analytical HPLC. In this lecture, we will see qualitative analysis in chromatography, then trace analysis, quantitative analysis, and recovery. This point in this lecture we see in details. First, qualitative analysis. The aim of qualitative analysis is to identify the peaks on the chromatogram or a specific component in the eluate. If the chemical nature of the peak is totally unknown, the special technique described it may be used as a basis for alternatively. Enough material must be collected from preparative or semi-preparative HPLC for the peaks to be identified using various analytical methods. If one or several components in the sample mixture are presumed, then a comparison of small k values, that is retention factor values of a reference and sample under identical chromatographic conditions, is the easiest means of analysis. If a reference compound has the same retention time as a peak in the chromatogram, then the two substances could be identical. However, it is necessary to make some more tests in order to obtain a higher degree of certainty. These tests are: A. The reference compound is mixed with part of the sample and the mixture is injected. The suspect peak should become higher without producing any shoulders or broadening phenomena. The greater the number of theoretical plates of the column, the better is the chance of separating the least partially two different components with similar chromatographic behavior. And second test, the same test should also be carried out with another mobile phase and preferably with another stationary phase, that is plus a suitable eluate. Phase pairs that behave entirely differently, that is a normal and a reverse phase, are preferred. If the sample reference mixture continue to show no sign of separation, then the identity is fairly certain. As mentioned above, the suspect peak must be analyzed before absolute certainty can be established. However, qualitative analysis can be improved without much expenditure. That is, first, A. The more specific the detector is, the more it contributes to peak identification. and refractive index detectors can pick up all components, but a UV detector is only suitable for UV absorbing material, and the fluorescence detector is specifically for fluorescing substances. The high specificity that a compound fluoresces can be further increased by the position of the excitation and emission wavelengths. And next qualitative analysis can be improved by using, that is B, a change in UV detector wavelength must be accompanied by an identical change in the signal of the sample and the reference. That is, the increase or decrease should be of the same degree. The absorbance ratio between two random wavelengths is compound specific, and C, that is the signal ratio in the UV and a subsequent refractive index detector or any other detector pair that may be used is characteristic for each compound under specified conditions. By far, by far more evident but also more demanding are the special methods mentioned in particular. The diode array detector and the coupling with mass spectroscopy are instruments for qualitative analysis. Any refractive index peaks due to the sample solvent should not be confused with analyte peaks. Any refractive index peaks due to the sample solvent should not be confused with analyte peak. The sample is best dissolved in the mobile phase in order to avoid being deceived by these ghost peaks. However, should this not be possible, a blind test can be carried out with the solvent used. Retention time comparisons depend greatly on the constancy of the solvent delivery system and are less sensitive than the sample reference mixture injection alternative. In this figure 19.1, refractive index peaks injection of 10 microliter of methanol water 1:1 serve as a sample solvent. Mobile phase dioxane water 10:90 UV detector 254 nanometer. Next, trace analysis. If the analytical task is the qualitative or quantitative determination of an analyte at low concentration, it is first necessary to optimize the chromatographic system. Under isocratic conditions, the concentration at the peak maximum, that is C maximum, the concentration of the peak maximum, that is C maximum, is lower than in the injection solution. Injection solution means CI. This small Ci is the injection solution. This concentration of the peak maximum is lower than the injection solution. That therefore concentration of the peak maximum C maximum is equal to injection solution into injected sample volume upon retention volume Vr into root of theoretical plate number of the column n upon 2 pi. By using these formulas, that is concentration of the peak maximum, the problem related to this formula. By using this formula, you can find out concentration of the peak maximum, that is C max. Next is the problem. Here 10 microliter of a solution with 1 ppm, that is 10 raised to minus 6 gram per ml of the analyte of interest are injected. The retention value of its peak is 14 ml. With this peak, a plate number of 10,000 can be calculated. What is the peak maximum concentration? What is the peak maximum concentration? Here, solution, I already discussed the formula. Cmax is equal to Ci into Vi upon Vr into root of n upon 2 pi. Here Ci, that is injection solution, is 1 into Vi, injected sample volume 10. Here 10 microliter, injected sample volume 10 upon Vr. Vr is the retention volume. Retention volume Vr is equal to Tr into F, that is 14 into 10 raised to 3 into root of n, number of theoretical plate, 10,000 upon 2 pi. This is in ppm, therefore 1 ppm, 10 raised to minus 6 gram per ml. If you solve this by using calculator, the value is Cmax 0.028 ppm, that is the concentration of the peak maximum is 0.028 ppm. Next problem, to calculate signal intensity in different condition. I read this problem for the separation of problem, previous problem. For the separation of previous problem, this previous problem is 34 number and this is 35 number problem. A column of 15 centimeter length and 4.6 mm internal diameter with 5 micrometer packing was used. The maximum concentration of 0.028 ppm gave a signal of 1 millivolt in the UV detector. Calculate the signal intensity under the following conditions. All other parameters remaining unchanged, that is same as the previous problem. Here column length 25 centimeter, column inner diameter 3 mm and column packing 3.5 micrometer. Solution for this problem, they say that calculate the signal intensity under the following conditions. For that, you first calculate Cmax, that is concentration at the peak maximum. Here all same as previous problem, only this addition are added. Therefore first, if the packing of the new column is of identical quality, its theoretical plate height h is also identical. Therefore the plate number of the 25 centimeter column, first part, is 1.7 times higher and its retention volume is 1.7 times higher as well. Here column length 25 centimeter is given, therefore retention volume is 1.7 times higher and retention volume is also retention volume and retention plate number and retention volume is 1.7 times higher. Therefore 25 as to 15 is equal to 1.7. Therefore to calculate C max, that is concentration of the peak maximum, is equal to 1 into 10 upon 1.7, that is VR, retention volume. Here retention volume 1.7, retention volume and plate number 1.7 for this column. Therefore 1.7 into 14 into 10 raised to 3. Retention volume is equal to TR into F, and 14 into 10 raised to 10 raised to 3 is already given in the previous problem. Therefore 1 into 10 upon 1.7 into 14 into 10 raised to 3 into root of, again here 1.7 multiplied by 10,000. This 10,000 is the theoretical plate number. This is already given in the previous problem. This 1.7 is given from this column length 25. Therefore 1.7 into 10,000 upon 2 pi ppm is equal to 0.22 ppm for first A case, corresponding to a signal of 0.8 millivolt. Next, B column inner diameter is 3 mm. B column inner diameter is 3 mm. Here we are retention volume calculation. How to calculate retention volume? Retention volume is equal to TR into F. Here 14 into 3 square upon 4.6 square ml is equal to 6.0 ml. Then put this VR value in the Cmax formula. Here 6 into 10 raised to 3. By putting this VR value in the Cmax formula, 6 into 10 raised to 3, all it is same ppm. The answer is 0.066 ppm. This 4.6 is internal diameter, is already given in the problem, and 14 into 10 raised 3 square. This 3 square is inner diameter. These are also given in the problem. And 14 is the retention value of its peak. This 14 is given in previous problem. This answer is 6.0 and Cmax is 0.066 ppm, corresponding to a signal of 2.4 millivolt. Third C column packing 3.5 micrometer is given. In that case, they give column packing 3.5 micrometer. Then with identical packing quality, the column with 3.5 micrometer particle will give a plate number which is 1.4 times higher. Therefore 5.0 as to 3.5 is equal to 1.5 is equal to 1.4. 5 as to 3.5 is equal to 1.4. Therefore Cmax is equal to 1 into 10 upon 14 into 10 raised to 3 root of 1.4 column packing. This N is theoretical plate number. Therefore this n substituted by with identical packing quality, the column with 3.5 micrometer particle will give a plate number which is 1.4. Therefore 1.4 into 10,000 upon 2 pi ppm is equal to 0.034 ppm. For 0.035 ppm corresponding to a signal 1.2 millivolt. It follows that the lowest dilution or the highest peaks are obtained if a short and most importantly thin column with a high theoretical plate number as possible is used. The origin of the separation efficiency of the column must come from its fine, high quality packing and not from its length. A longer column gives a lower maximum concentration because VR. VR means retention volume as well as capital N, that is number of theoretical plate in the column, is proportional to column length LC, capital L small c. Therefore C max depend on 1 upon root of LC with a given sample concentration Ci. The peak dilution is less pronounced with a large injection volume, a high plate number and a small retention volume. The equation given above can also be written in a different manner because this Cmax equation written in a different manner because VR, that is retention volume, is equal to LC, capital L small c, into small dc square pi into epsilon k plus 1 small k plus 1 upon 4, and capital N, that is number of theoretical plate of the column, is equal to column length LC upon height H. Therefore Cmax is equal to, this is one of the other formula to calculate concentration of the peak maximum, that is Cmax, is equal to 0.5 into Ci. Ci is sample concentration into Vi, capital Vi, upon dc square epsilon into small k plus 1 root of LC into H. Here small dc is column inner diameter, epsilon total porosity, small k retention factor, capital LC column length, and H is the height of theoretical plate. Now the best approach is obvious. Use a column with a small inner diameter. A two-fold reduction gives a four-fold increase of Cmax. Use of the next best approach is use a short column. The third best approach is use a column packing with small theoretical plate height. This is obtained by a small particle diameter, excellent packing, and a good mass transfer properties of the stationary phase. The column must be run at its Van Dimmer optimum. Elute the analyte with a small retention factor. Although a short column is to be preferred, its separation performance must be high enough to solve the separation problem. The method need to be optimized with regard to the trace components. The equation also make clear that the sample mass, that is the product Ci into Vi, sample mass, that is the product Ci into capital Vi, should be large. The column may be overloaded with regard to the main components as long as the resolution of the trace peak is not affected. However, the injection volume is restricted if band broadening needs to be avoided. The maximum allowed injection volume which restricts band broadening is given by at if band broadening is 9%, then the maximum allowed injection volume Vi max for 9% band broadening, Vi max is equal to 0.6 into retention time Tr into F upon root of N, that is number of theoretical plate for the column. Vi max, that is the maximum allowed injection volume. The maximum allowed injection volume is equal to 0.6 into Tr into F upon root of N. Here in this figure 19.2, column overloading in trace analysis. This is column not overloaded. In this figure they show column not overloaded. This figure shows column overloaded with respect to the main components. Column overloaded with respect to the main component. An alternative way of writing this equation is as follows, because retention time Tr is equal to T0 into bracket of K plus 1. Sorry, Tr is equal to T0 in bracket K plus 1 and flow rate F is equal to Lc into dc square pi epsilon upon 4 T0, where Vi max is equal to, in alternative form, that is maximum allowed injection volume is equal to 0.48 into in bracket K plus 1 Lc into dc square epsilon upon root of N. If enough sample is available, for example in food analysis, it is possible to inject maximum allowed injection volume Vi max even if early eluted peaks will be broadened or the main components will be overloaded as long as the resolution of the trace components is not affected. Then the peak maximum concentration will be defined by the combined equations for Cmax and Vi max. Cmax and Vmax combined equation, Cmax is equal to, that is concentration at the peak maximum is equal to 0.24 into Ci. Peak maximum concentration 0.24 into concentration of injection solution. Next, before that, this is the most favorable case with isocratic elution and 9% peak broadening. This Cmax is favorable case, that is isocratic elution and 9% peak broadening. Even then, the four-fold analyte dilution is remarkably high. Note that under these circumstances, enough sample available and injection of Vimax all the above mentioned requirement as thin and short column, low plate height and short retention time come to nothing. If resolution is not affected at maximum allowed injection, that is Vimax, the equation Cmax is equal to 0.24 Ci is also valid for thick, long and poorly packed column. Nevertheless, it is always a good recommendation to optimize the separation system because the expenditure with regard to time and solvent will be lower. In trace analysis, some other parameters also need to be considered. That is, A. Avoid tailing. An asymmetric peak is broader, thus less high than a symmetrical one. And next parameters considered in trace analysis, B. Peaks are compressed by gradients, therefore they are higher. Gradient elution is recommended if it is not possible to elute the trace compounds at low retention factor. A step gradient at the right moment can be simple and effective. And C. The detector should have as low as detection limit as possible. A bulk property detector such as a refractive index detector is not suitable for trace analysis. Fluorescence and electrochemical detectors are most useful. With UV detection, it is possible to interfering impurities by choosing a suitable wavelength. The same is possible with mass spectrometry and single ion monitoring. Derivatization may increase the detection limit by several orders of magnitude. Quantitation by peak height may be more accurate than the peak area. Although it is necessary to run a quantitative analysis at a signal to noise ratio of better than 10 and signal to noise ratio of 3 can be adequate for qualitative evaluation. For trace analysis, the sample preparation, if possible, combined with analyte enrichment, is one of the utmost important. In trace analysis, the sample preparation is of the utmost important. HPLC itself can provide a highly effective method of concentration. Samples are concentrated at the column inlet if the elution strength of the solvent is too low. If a sample phase of high elution strength is used for elution, band broadening is small and the concentration in the eluate is high. This procedure is most effective if elution can be done with retention factor is equal to 0. That is, with the solvent front. This is referred to as displacement chromatography. As an example, it was possible to enrich chlorophenols in water by a factor of 4000 on a styrene divinyl benzene stationary phase. Column switching may be used very effectively to separate the main components and to obtain trace analytes. For the limit of quantification and of detection, see the next section. Here, quantitative analysis. The detector signal is much more dependent on specific compounds properties in liquid chromatography than, than it is in a gas chromatography. For example, the UV signal is a function of the molar absorptivity, which varies between 0 and 10,000 liter per mole per centimeter. Depending on the compounds used, the molar absorptivity and absorbance maximum also vary between homologous. Hence, at least one calibration chromatogram must be obtained for each quantitative analysis. Calibration can be performed with three different methods: external standard, internal standard, and standard addition. The procedures are explained here for single point calibration, although it is much better to establish a calibration graph with at least three different data points. The calculations are then not performed with simple rules of 3 as below, but by means of the calibration graph slope. Calibration graphs should be straight and run through the origin. It is necessary to do a new calibration for each set of quantitative analysis. If older data are used, it is quite possible that the actual chromatographic conditions are slightly different, which may give rise to systematic deviations. Since quantitative analysis can be based on either peak area or peak height, the term signal means both possibilities. As an example, the problem concerns quantitative determination of glucose in soft drink. The content can be expected to be in the 5 gram per liter range. The three procedures are as follows. Here, three procedures. First, procedure for external standard. A standard solution of 6 gram per liter. Here, not necessarily 6.000 gram per liter, but exactly known, is prepared. It gives a peak of area 5400. The sample gives a peak of area 3600. Therefore, calibration factor CF is equal to 6 upon 5400 is equal to 1.11 into 10 raised to minus 3. Content is equal to sample peak area into calibration factor is equal to 1.11 into 10 raised to minus 3. This is first possibility. Content is equal to, therefore 1.11 into 10 raised to minus 3 is equal to 4 gram per liter. This is first possibility. Next possibility, procedure for internal standard. First possibility for external standard. Next possibility for internal standard. To both sample and standard solution as above, a further components which is not present in the sample is added in equal amounts. Here this was done with 10 gram per liter of fructose with peak areas Glucose in the sample 3600. Glucose in the standard 5400. Fructose in both solution 6300. Now an amount ratio is obtained by comparison with the signal ratio. Therefore, calibration factor CF is equal to standard amount ratio upon standard signal ratio is equal to 6 into 6300 upon 10 into 5400 is equal to zero point 0.6 upon 0.86 is equal to 0.7. Amount ratio of sample is equal to signal ratio into calibration factor is equal to 3600 upon 6300 into 0.7 is equal to 0.4. Content is equal to internal standard amount into amount ratio. 10 into 0.4 is equal to 4 gram per liter. Next possibility is procedure for standard addition. Procedure for standard addition. The sample is fortified with a known amount of the compound to be determined. Here this was done by addition of 5 gram per liter of glucose, 5 gram per liter. This is third possibility. 5 gram per liter of glucose. The peak areas are 3600 for the sample itself and 8100 for the fortified sample. Therefore, content is equal to addition into sample net signal upon signal difference is equal to 5 into 3600 upon 8100 minus 3600 is equal to 4 gram per liter. The external standard method is the simplest one and should therefore only be used for simple analytical problems. The injection must be performed with good reproducibility, thus it is recommended that the complete loop filling method be used. With multiple point calibration, it is not recommended to inject different volumes from a reference stock solution, that is 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50 microliter, because it is well possible that neither accuracy nor precision of these injections are high enough. It is better to prepare a number of calibration solutions with different concentrations and to inject equal volumes of them with complete loop filling or with exactly the same procedures as is used also for the sample. In the case of internal standard calibration, this is not necessary and small variations in injection volume cease to be important. If sample preparation is complicated or demanding, the internal standard approach is strongly recommended. In this case, the standard is added before the first preparation step has begun. The choice of a suitable internal standard may not be easy. It must be pure, clearly defined compounds with similar properties with respect to sample preparation. Chromatographic separations and the detection to the compounds of interest. If possible, it should be eluted in a chromatogram gap and not at the very beginning or end. Standard addition is elegant if the sample amount is not limited. It allows calibration of the analysis under realistic conditions, that is, not with a standard chromatogram, which is free from interferences. The standard addition and internal standard methods can be combined. It is part of the validation process to define how often a calibration chromatogram or calibration graph needs to be determined again. It is always necessary to consider the possible fundamental errors of calibration curves. They are shown in figure 19.4. This is possible fundamental errors of calibration curve. There is a difference between constant systematic deviations and proportional systematic deviations. In the first case, the calibration curve does not run through the origin. The deviation can be positive as in the figure or negative. With the standard addition methods, this type of error cannot be recognized. A curve with proportional error has a false slope which can be too slow as in the figure or too high. Both types of deviation can occur simultaneously. They can be detected by the determination of recovery function shown in the figure 19.4. Various methods have been proposed to find the limit of quantification LOQ. What needs to be defined is the lowest amount or concentration of an analyte whose quantitative determination can be done with a defined accuracy and repeatability. The most programmatic approach, that is, although some work is necessary, is to define the upper limit of the allowed repeatability standard deviation and to find its experimentally. At least 6 different concentrations in the vicinity of the expected LOQ must be investigated with at least 6 determinations each. This is the figure 19.4, in which possible fundamental errors of calibration curve, erroneous calibration curves, the accurate curve with a solid line runs through the origin and its slope is b. This is accurate curve in which slope is b and they are runs through the origin. The lower broken curve has a proportional systematic bias because its slope is b dash. This lower broken curve having proportional systematic bias and its slope is b dash, it is wrong. The upper broken curve, has the accurate slope b, but it runs through the y-axis at point A. Therefore, it has a constant systematic bias. This upper broken curve has the accurate slope b, but it runs through the y-axis and it has constant systematic bias. It runs at the point A from y-axis. This accurate curve solid line runs through the origin and slope b. This lower broken line slope b dash, it is wrong and it has proportional systematic bias. This figure 19.3 shows calibration methods for quantitative analysis. This is external standard. This is, I already explained these three types A, B, C: external standard, internal standard, and standard addition. This is calibration chromatogram, analysis chromatogram, and calibration graph. Signal versus time for external standard, internal standard, and standard addition. Here one of the problem, 6 different concentration C of the calibration solution with matrix were analyzed 10 times each. The maximum allowed repeatability as a relative standard deviation is 10%. The following data were found. Here 6 different concentration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the calibration solution with matrix were analyzed 10 times. 10 times matrix were analyzed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 times matrix analyzed with 6 different concentration. The maximum allowed repeatability as a relative standard deviation is 10%. Where is the yellow cube? Yellow cube limit of quantification. They ask limit of quantification. Here solution relative standard, they calculate each concentration relative standard deviation for 5 ppm, 10 ppm, first concentration, second concentration, third concentration, fourth concentration, fifth and sixth, 5 ppm, 10 ppm, 15 ppm, 20 ppm, 25 ppm, and 30 ppm. They also calculate mean x bar for each concentration: 5.14 ppm, 10.4 ppm, 15.9 ppm, and 19.8 ppm, 24.4 ppm, and 13.0 ppm. Also calculate standard deviation for each concentration: 0.71, 1.31 ppm, 1.82, 2.0, 2.37, and 2.55 are the standard deviation for each concentration. Then calculate relative standard deviation. Relative standard deviation 13.8% for 5 ppm concentration. This 5, 10, 15, 20 already given in the problem. Like that, all other concentrations they calculate relative standard deviation, or you calculate relative standard deviation. The limit of quantification is 20 ppm. The limit of quantification here 10.1% relative standard deviation. For that the concentration is 20 ppm. Therefore limit of quantification is 20 ppm. How? Let's see. The limit of quantification depends on the analyte due to the difference different detector properties and the retention factor K value. The limit of detection LOD is 30% of the LOQ, that is 7 ppm in the example given above. Gradient illusion can be source of additional error. Therefore, quantitative analysis should be performed in isocratic mode if possible. It is also necessary to keep the flow rate for peak area determinations or mobile phase composition for peak height determination constant, as shown in the figure 19.5. The sample should be dissolved in the mobile phase if the sample solvent and mobile phase are not identical. Then the analysis can become less accurate. It is also possible that detector response is strongly dependent on sample solvent. Quantitative analysis is strictly conditional on the column not being overloaded and the detector operating in the linear range. Experiment must be carried out to check these points. Accuracy may be increased by thermostating the column. Asymmetric peaks should be avoided. The analytical result can be verified in a number of ways. Here, for concentration 20 ppm, the standard deviation 2 ppm, and arithmetic mean 19.8 ppm, relative standard deviation 10.1. Therefore, limit of quantification is 20 ppm. Next point, recovery. It is necessary to determine the recovery function and the recovery rate in order to detect a possible error in the analytical result by the process of sample preparation or even by the sample matrix itself. Procedure for recovery of sample preparation. First, A. The pure reference analyte is analyzed without sample preparation procedure or without a certain sample preparation step. The calibration function is calculated y is equal to a0 plus b0 into x0, where y is equal to signal, x0 mass or concentration of reference analyte, a0 is equal to y-axis intercept, b0 is equal to slope. B. Procedure for recovery of sample preparation is the pure reference analyte is analyzed using the sample preparation procedure. The analytical result is calculated with the calibration function. Xp is equal to y minus a0 upon b0, where Xp is mass or concentration of reference analyte after sample preparation. C. The data Xp are plotted against the respective masses or concentration x0 and the recovery function is calculated. Xp is equal to ap plus small b into p small bp x0, where the index p denotes the parameter found with sample preparation. Next, D, the recovery rate is calculated. Recovery rate is equal to AP upon X0, that is mass or concentration of reference analyte, plus BP, that is slope of the parameter into 100. The recovery function should be linear with y-axis intercept. AP, that is y-axis parameter is equal to 0, and slope BP, that is slope parameter, is equal to 1. If AP, that is y-axis parameter, is not equal to 0, a constant systematic error is present. If slope parameter BP is not equal to 1, there is a proportional systematic error of sample preparation. The recovery function and rate can be determined for each individual step of sample preparation. This allows the specific improvement of the critical steps. Afterwards, the same procedure can be performed with spike sample for the determination of matrix effects. Next problem. Here in this problem, the peaks areas were found for aflatoxin solutions without sample preparation. These peaks area are found for aflatoxin solution without sample preparation. This is sample in gram, 10, 20, 30, 40 in nanogram. Peaks area 2432 counts, 4829 counts, 7231 counts, and 9628 counts. After sample preparation with solid phase extraction, the following data were found. This is without sample preparation. This is after sample preparation. This peak area are found. This is before and this is after. Calculate the recovery function and the recovery rate. Judge the recovery function. Solution calibration curve with linear regression. Y is equal to 32.5 plus 240 x0. This function has a y-axis intercept, that is a constant systematic error which is not 0. This function has a y-axis intercept which is not 0. The reason probably comes from the HPLC separation and needs to be found and improved later. B, XP means, what is XP? XP is the mass or concentration of reference analyte of a given parameter. XP is equal to, for first 10 nanogram sample, XP is equal to the peak area before sample preparation minus sorry, peak area after sample preparation minus 32.5 upon 240 is equal to 7.2 nanogram. Analogously, the following data are found. XP for 20 nanogram sample 17.3 nanogram, for 30 nanogram sample 27.4 nanogram, and for 40 nanogram sample 37.6 nanogram sample. Xp is mass or concentration of reference analyte with respect to given parameter. The data Xp are plotted against the respective masses or concentration x0 and the recovery function is calculated. P is equal to minus 2.91 plus 1.01 x0. The slope is almost preferred, but there is a small proportional systematic error. The y-axis intercept has a constant systematic bias. One finds an aflatoxin content which is too low by 2.9 mg. The solid phase extraction must be improved. Due to this error, the recovery rate depends on the absolute sample mass. Therefore, recovery rate for 10 nanogram sample is equal to minus 2.91 upon 10 plus 1.01 into 100 percentage is equal to 71.9 percentage. Same for 20 nanogram sample preparation recovery rate, 30 nanogram sample preparation recovery rate, and 40 nanogram sample preparation recovery rate here calculated. This minus 2.91 plus 1.01, this by using the linear regression of the data pairs. This recovery function is found by linear regression of the data pairs. By using this recovery rate are calculated. Thank you.